Throughout history, art has served many purposes. It has been used to express beauty, spirituality, and mythology, but one of its most important and powerful functions is a tool of political and cultural representation. In ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, sculpture in particular became a medium through which societies expressed their ideas of power, divinity, and leadership. Two iconic works, the seated statue of Pharaoh Khafre and the Farnese Hercules, exemplify this practice. These two statues come from drastically different worlds, one from a centralized theocracy that lasted millennia, and the other from a dynamic and participatory democracy. Yet both civilizations display their power and ideologies within their art. By analyzing the statue of Pharaoh Khafre and the Farnese Hercules, we can uncover how differing political systems, religious ideologies, and cultural values shape their portrayals of strength, authority, and ideal leadership. The statue of Khafre was found in the Valley Temple near the Great Sphinx and is carved from dark diorite, a strong stone that emphasizes permanence. Khafre is shown seated, his body symmetrical and his face expressionless and strict. His posture faces the front, with arms resting calmly on his knees, giving him an aura of divine power. One of the most interesting elements of the statue is the falcon god Horus behind Khafre's head. According to the American Research Center in Egypt, the viewer would likely first encounter the statue at an angle, offering a profile view and exposing the god Horus in the midst of his embrace of the pharaoh's head. As the viewer approached the statue head-on, Horus becomes completely obscured. This optical illusion is an intentional expression of the nature of the pharaoh, surrounded and protected by the gods, yet to a certain degree, a god himself. Page 1. Khafre wears the Nemes headdress, a symbol of kingship, and sits on a throne made up of two lions, which connect him to the concept of kingship over both nature and his people. As the Smarthistory guide explains, a vast amount of Egyptian imagery, especially royal imagery that was governed by decorum, a sense of what was appropriate, remains stupefyingly consistent throughout its history. Page 5. In other words, the visual language of power in Egypt did not evolve much over thousands of years. It was designed to project stability, eternity, and the unchanging nature of divine rule. In sharp contrast to Khafre's unchanging divinity, the Farnese Hercules, which is a Roman copy of a lost Greek bronze original by Lysippos, shows a different type of power, one that is earned, not inherited. The muscular figure of Hercules leans exhausted on his club, draped with the skin of a Nemean lion. Behind his back, he hides the apples he had just retrieved from the final of his 12 labors. Unlike Khafre, Hercules is not posed in a calm, godlike position. He appears tired and human. He's relatable. Todd writes, "No one knows what the earliest version of the statue really looked like, but the evidence is strong that it has a slightly larger than life-size bronze created by the sculptor Lysippos at about the time of Alexander the Great's death, 323 BCE, page 29. The statue emphasizes not just strength, but effort, resilience, and human limitation. It reflects Greek values, especially the idea of arete, or excellence achieved through personal struggle. Hercules is a demigod, but his heroism is grounded in hard work and sacrifice. This reflects the Greek admiration for perseverance and self-mastery, qualities needed to succeed in their participatory society. Egypt's political system was a theocracy. The pharaoh was not just a king, he was believed to be a living god. As Leigh Rockwood puts it, ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was the god Horus in human form. Ancient Egyptians thought that the pharaoh could control things like the sun and the Nile River. This belief justified a highly centralized and hierarchical political structure. The economy was similarly structured to reinforce the system. According to the World History Encyclopedia, the economy of Egypt was based on agriculture and used a barter system. The landowner then turned the produce over to the government to be used in trade or in distribution to the wider community. World History Encyclopedia, page 1. This agricultural and political control were then expressed through their artwork. Pharaohs had to look eternal and godlike to reinforce their authority. The Khafre statue, with its symmetrical pose, hard stone, and divine symbols, act as visual propaganda for a system where the pharaoh held nearly all the power and was believed to be chosen by the gods themselves. Unlike Egypt, ancient Greece, especially Athens, valued civic participation. Government was not inherited by divine right, but instead an obligation through contribution to society. As stated by the National Geographic, the first known democracy in the world was in Athens. All adult citizens were required to take an active part in the government. National Geographic, page 1. In this political environment, power was not reserved for the divine. It was a reward for personal excellence, discipline, and service. The image of Hercules reflects these values. Though he is a mythological figure, his labors represent the struggles of the everyday Greek citizen. His muscular but exhausted body tells us that greatness and strength comes from sacrifice, not status. Unlike Egyptian art, which used repetition and rigid outlines, Greek art evolved quickly, experimenting with realism, emotion, and narrative. Greek culture emphasized the human mind and body with advancements in philosophy and sports as some of the most well-known cultural focuses. The Farnese Hercules reminds viewers that even the strongest must endure hardship, which is a theme that resonated in a society where leaders were expected to serve the people, not rule over them as gods. Ultimately, these two statues do far more than show strong male figures. They serve as carved ideologies of their respective civilizations. By comparing these two figures, we see how deeply art is tied to government, belief, and identity. The statue of Khafre reflects the permanence and divinity of Egyptian kingship. The Farnese Hercules reflects the personal struggle and civic virtue valued in ancient Greece. Within the art world, art becomes an expression of different ideologies and cultures. Through these two statues, the hearts of two powerful and ancient worlds are revealed, one eternal, the other ever evolving. Thank you for watching this presentation, and all citations will be listed in the description. Also, all the music you have been hearing has been produced by me. I'm not very creative on the video editing side, but I hope that the music was enough to fulfill the background. Thank you.